안녕. What? What do you want? 보고 싶었어요. Alright, I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm kind of busy right now. 걱정하지 마. 괜찮아요. Look, I have no idea what you're saying, so just leave me alone, alright? 아이고, 배고파. Wait, are you speaking Korean? 그래, 좋지 않아요? Okay, I'm gonna tell you again. It's not because you watch Korean drama and you listen to K-pop that you speak Korean, you understand? 아니요, 난 한국말로 이야기해요. Alright, maybe you learned a few expressions on Duolingo, but that doesn't make you fluent, so just leave me out of this, would you? 무슨 소리야, 이게? 우리 친구 아니야? 아이고, 어떡해. Bro, it's just annoying now, so if you don't stop, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. 싫어! I hope you guys enjoyed this little skit. I know that many of you are interested in Korea, its language, its culture, and obviously its food. I actually had the chance to visit the country a couple of times and even lived there for a little while, and it was completely worth it. Now, the other day someone asked me, if you had only one piece of advice to give to someone who wants to learn Korean, what would it be? I replied something like, don't worry too much. Of course, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. You're gonna keep forgetting things. You're gonna be very cautious about your accent. There's gonna be a lot of miscommunication and awkward moments. But that's also part of the fun, so focus on that, having fun instead of being frustrated. Trust me, I've been there, even with English, which is not my native tongue. But then I started reflecting deeper, and even though I do believe in the statement I made, I realized it was more general answer to the question, what would be your only one piece of advice to someone who wants to become fluent in a language, not necessarily Korean? For Korean specifically, my answer would be learn Hangul, the Korean alphabet. It should actually be the first thing you do if you're seriously considering learning Korean, even if it's just for a few words or expressions. Because Korean is usually not an easy language to pronounce for foreigners, and the transcriptions in Latin alphabet make it far worse. In fact, the transcription is so tricky that there are many different versions. But to be honest with you, none of them are very helpful if you don't know what Korean sounds like. For example, I'm on a website here to learn basic Korean. I'm not gonna say which one because my goal here is not to bitch about the content you can find on the internet. But let's have a look at this expression I actually used in my little skit. So let's say I'm American and I end up on this page. How do you think I'm gonna be reading that? It's probably gonna be something like Syrio or Syrio, right? First of all, si doesn't exist in Korean, so you can ban that from any Korean word. It's she. Now, I'm exaggerating obviously, but the chances that someone who's never heard Korean before gets it right by reading this in the Latin transcription is very slim. This expression is read shiro. Now, you might ask, why didn't they write ro instead of reo? That's because in Korean you have a clear distinction between o and a. Oh, and by the way, the translation is wrong here. 싫어 doesn't mean I don't want to go. Even Google Translate knows that. I don't want to go is 가고 싶지 않아. 싫어 means I hate, or less severe, I don't like. My theory is that the person who wrote this article saw that in a Korean drama, in a specific context in which someone said something like 가자, and the other person replied 싫어. In this case, specifically, it would be weird to write in the subtitles, I hate it or I don't like it. So it makes more sense in English to write, I don't want to go. But like any information you find on the internet, double check. Thank you. 싫어. Anyway, let's take another example from the same website. Everything will be alright. If I read it the American way, it would probably be something like Da Guan Channel Geoya. And if you say it that way to a Korean person, trust me, you'll never be understood. When this consonant called tigut is placed at the beginning of a word, it sounds more like a soft T rather than a D. So it's not going to be da like in Russian, but rather ta. Same thing with the consonant kiok. Placed at the beginning of a word, it's gonna sound more like a soft K rather than a G. So ken. So Korean is not my native tongue, but I think you'd be more understood if you said 다 괜찮을 거야. 다 괜찮을 거야. So instead of analyzing the Roman transcription as I'm doing, it's just easier to learn the Korean alphabet. But you are in luck because it's very easy to learn. For the anecdote, when King Sejong the Great created it in 1446, it was not only to fit the Korean language better, but also to let everyone without discrimination have access to knowledge. At that time, the official writing system was the Chinese characters, so only literate people could read and write. So to the people who just want to learn a few words or expressions in Japanese or Chinese, of course, my first piece of advice wouldn't be to learn thousands of characters at once. You can do that with Romaji or with Pinyin. But anyone can learn the Korean alphabet in just a few hours and be able to read right after that. So my point is, learn Korean the Korean way. If you like the video, please comment, share, and subscribe. 시청해주셔서 대단히 감사합니다.